landscape design of the stream park at Nanded-city is an attempt to balance three main values of landscape design: aesthetics, function, and environment. The project is ongoing and only about 1/4 of the project is nearing completion. The stream is about 2 kilometers in length and carries water throughout the year because of certain upstream conditions in varying quantity. This being the last stretch of the stream before it meets the river, we do not have much control over the quality of water and all other stuff it carries with it. So there were two options. One, ignore it with no development facing it, or have the development face it, add value to the stream area, and in turn add value to the development. So obviously the second option was chosen. A number of visual surveys were carried out over a period of time to understand the spatial structure and visual relationships. All necessary physical surveys were carried out and analyzed. I'm not going to get into details of all this. And during this process, we realized that unless the features of existing landscape along with the life associated with it is documented immediately, and of course awareness is built about it amongst the team itself, along with necessary measures to be taken, it may be lost forever, physically and even from the minds of people around. So it was decided to go ahead with the ecological survey, get the ecological survey done. Got the ecological survey done. I'll just run through it again. There were some findings. It's about flora, fauna, seasonal variation, how the stream should be maintained. There were some good recommendations. So it was decided, presence of variety of landform, deep fertile soil, availability of flowing water, fair amount of diversity of flora and fauna, all put together, it clearly indicated that the area has a potential to become a good urban niche. Being part of the private development, safety, security, misuse by people, maintenance, management over longer period of time, and of course short-term and long-term benefits for the development itself had to be taken into consideration. So objectives were very clear: enhance, reinforce and heal the natural landscape. So this place we visualized as an abode for diverse local flora and fauna. We also wanted to demonstrate certain environmentally beneficial systems here as designers and for the future designers. So this is, the motives were little selfish also. We want to learn more about local plants in designed situation, also the systems in designed situations. Then second was we wanted to create a platform for people to connect with nature on a day-to-day basis. Of course the place would be for passive recreation, and this informally will make the people aware about environment, local flora, local fauna, etc. A lot of awareness had to be built amongst us also as designers. So there were a lot of references and studies. I'm sure it is just the ice breaking and they are very shallow as yet. But we tried to learn a little more about native plants, indigenous plants, plants, birds and butterflies, their relations, vegetative methods for slope stabilization, filtration, pond health, woodland, stream health, riparian buffer. The first task was to identify the boundary of the plot. So plot boundary was very tentatively marked in the master plan, and it was really nice of the rest of the team to allow us to identify the boundary of the plot based on the surveys that were done. So basically proposal has three main components. The first is protected, strengthened and enhanced natural landscape, which is about 2/3 of the total area. So all that light green that you see is basically the first part of it. Second is suitably located pocket gardens based on various planting themes. And third is a link with a number of pause points. So those are the three important components of the master plan. This is the master plan. I will not go into details because it's too big. The area is about 30 acres. Phase 1 plan, which is not updated, but principally it remains the same. Again, I'm not getting into the details of this plan because the pictures will clearly show this is more or less done. So hardscape details adopted were, from the point of view, the materials were locally available, I mean very easily. I wouldn't say exactly locally on site, but they were easily available materials, and very basic kind of construction, so no special technology was required. Uh, Boardwalks and bridges, they allowed the land and water to flow below them, and things like, you know, security cabin put in a green cage, or other details like pathway, gravel paths with grass paver edges. So every opportunity was taken through detailing for the vegetation to cover or camouflage the edges eventually. It will take some time, but it is expected to cover the edges of the hardscape. At the same time, there were some measures studied and proposed which are not fully done as yet, but there is an intent and they are partially done to improve the stream health and for slope stabilization also. So I'll come to the main part of it, which is the planting schemes, which is a very, very important component of this particular area. Again, planting is basically for about three types. One is the strengthening of existing clusters, tree clusters. So which was done with most of the local vegetation, most of the indigenous vegetation, and the clusters, we wanted the clusters to remain eventually also after planting also, they should look eventually as if the trees were already there. The species chosen, they are of course suitable for the location. We have tried to do that. Are basically ficus, bridelia, bombax, the ones that Vivek said, bombax butea, cassia fistula, diaspyros, tetu, cordia mixa, melina, holoptelia, ziziphus, kuda, saraka, and number of other such species. While doing this, we tried to ensure that there is a good mix of large canopy trees, fruiting trees, and flowering trees. Through some references and search, we got certain percentages, we learnt about the spacings and all that, and we tried to incorporate all that in the scheme. The second important aspect is basically ages, the age of the path, the age of any space for that matter. So age between the natural landscape and the pathway, age between natural landscape and any activity area or water, and other ages. So access to areas beyond developed links is restricted by wide hedgerows of a careful mix of diverse and mostly native or indigenous species of shrubs like Adathoda, Vitex, Woodfordia, Pogostemon, Clerodendron, Carissa, Vetiver, local grass because I don't know what the grass species, but it was growing and it was growing happily on the site itself. Plumbago, Ixora, Rhinewardsia, Strobilanthus, and so on and so forth. So wherever the view was to be blocked, the taller ones were chosen. And careful mix I am saying because this is where we experimented with their textures and colors and which one will flower in what season, and accordingly have tried to make the combinations. On the city boundary of the park planted is Shikekai, Sagargota, and Chilar. The third is a pocket garden. So third type of plantation is pocket garden, which are basically at times exotic, but they were like more or less flattish areas available on site, and these are the points of interest in the whole in the entire scheme, and these are easily accessible for people. So on the left hand side what you see is water garden, where the water age is again a mix of water loving plants like Acorus, Bacopa, Polygonum, Alocasia, Cannas, reeds and grasses. And there is a grass garden proposed. Sorry, before moving to the grass garden, in the water itself there are emergent, submergent and floating plants. The grass garden basically is from the point of view of there is a lot of interest in architects and landscape architects in grass as a very visually appealing element, but we still don't know much about local grasses or indigenous grasses. So the idea here is, I'm sure this is going to take a lot more time and I'm going to need help of a lot of people sitting here, but the idea basically is to collect grasses from everywhere and have them planted over here so that how they look in groups, how they look on the edges. So in a designed situation, one can see these grasses, and of course there is a garden also for that. The third is a flower garden. Actually, you enter the park through a flower garden, and this flower garden is honestly fully exotic, but it's a productive garden. So basically, what is sold seasonally, what is sold from this garden, the money is used for management and maintenance of the park. This is a visual feature, and there is a story behind it, because the area had number of flower farms, and we thought that, you know, as a memory of that particular land use, one could have a newly designed flower farm. So it has a very linear, rigid kind of pattern, only that the flowers are not native. So I'll directly take you through, how much time I don't know, but directly take you through the photographs. This is the entrance of the stream park. Initially this slit was supposed to be for the nameplate, but the view that it frames, we thought that it in itself is a painting. It keeps changing as per the season. You enter the park at right angle to the major designed axis. So at the entry is a kund, which also is a water source for the water garden below. You enter about 7 to 8 meters above the stream level, higher than the stream level. So that is the kind of landform that is there. You walk along this channel, which is centrally located in a circular flower farm. This is the flower farm. Along the flower farm on upper level as well as in steps is a filter, vegetative filter, which takes water to the water garden. Flower farm again, the filter bed. Then the water garden. So water garden with submerged edge and mixed plantation all around. On the left hand side of the path, one more thing that I forgot to mention, most of the major links in this garden are actually existing. I wouldn't call them paivatas, but they were the tracks, you know, probably used by farmers or whatever. So they were already compacted, and those are the alignments mostly that we have kept for this. And through our visual analysis, whatever viewpoints were identified which offered good views of the surrounding landscape or natural landscape, those are actually the pause points on these links. So this is one area where there was already dense canopy, there were existing trees and lianas. So we thought that we might as well develop this, we might as well walk through it in a floating on a floating kind of a bridge, and further enhance and make it even denser in the form of multi-storied plantation. So what we have tried here is actually multi-storied plantation. This is that boardwalk. There is a Peru bag already existing, orchard already existing, and the interesting part about it is there was some variety of grass. Vivek knows the species, I still don't remember the name of the species. There's a local variety of grass that was growing in patches below the trees, which was propagated and which kind of was spread all over the area. So this is no paspalum, this is no cyanodon dactylon or American bluegrass, but this is some species that Vivek knows. Some of these cultural, symbolic or religious, whatever they may be, they are retained as they are. They become part of the landscape. Most of the pathways follow the same detail except for varying width. So edges are purposely defined to restrict the footprint, restrict the movement, and eventually the grass has already started taking over these pavers. And these are the hedgerows that you see on both sides. Viewpoints which offer various views. This is the viewpoint which offers the view of an arc from where it's basically the below the canal, and this is where the stream enters Nanded-city. So basically views beyond these pause points or beyond the links are very, very natural and kind of forested areas. This is the kind of hedgerows that are prepared. Bridge across the water body, taking you along the water garden. Water garden is on the right hand side. So this is the path on the other side, which takes you to much open and sunnier areas. one gets closer to the way you relate to that stream from the stream park is very very different. At times you just hear but you don't see the water, at times you see water but it is at much lower level, and at times you are very few times you are actually at the level of the stream. So this is one place where you are at the level of the stream, where we have kind of made a small ghat, again a cultural feature. Beyond this, right now the development is only up to this point. Beyond this basically is a grass garden which is still being developed, the pathway leading to that, and there is a grass garden which is at different levels, again a geometric pattern, because all these designed areas are basically geometric, and where it is natural it is random and natural.